You shouldn't have listened.
The light came on again, 2:13 a.m., to the minute. That cubicle hasn't had an employee since Kendra Miles. She died right there. Heart failure, they said. At her desk. I didn't know her. She was before my contract. But every night, that same fluorescent glow flares above her workspace, like the building still expects her login. You took my place. That's what the monitor typed tonight, all by itself. The system logs said the activity came from my ID, my keyboard, while I was 20 feet away. I checked every rule, credentials, timestamp, session trail, all matched. The terminal I was staring at was idle, but the system thought I was sitting in Kendra's chair. Our office is a tomb after midnight, just rows of cubicles and the humming of machines that don't care if you breathe. Still, I had to check the desk. It's the one by the copier, the spot nobody takes during the day. Her nameplate's gone, but the shadow of the letters still stains the metal. The monitor was awake, cursor blinking like a pulse. When I touched the mouse, the pointer moved before I did. I ran diagnostics, no remote sessions, no open chat, no macros. Then I saw it. The cursor trail drew 3 words onto a blank notepad. Log out for me. I whispered, "Who are you?" The cursor blinked twice, then erased the question. A sheet slid out across the room. System access report. User L.M. Kakeen. Terminal 14, 2:13 a.m. My name. My badge. That's her terminal. Every bulb in the room dimmed, a brownout sigh. In the reflection of the copier glass, I saw a figure sitting at Kendra's desk. Still, back straight, no face, just the outline of someone working. I turned. The chair was empty. But the monitor typed again, 1 letter at a time. Stay. The lights flickered back. My login session ended itself, and the time in the corner of the screen froze at 2:13 a.m. Chapter 1. The light at 2:13 a.m. The light came on again, 2:13 a.m., to the minute. That cubicle hasn't had an employee since Kendra Miles. She died right there. Heart failure, they said. At her desk. I didn't know her. She was before my contract. But every night, that same fluorescent glow flares above her workspace, like the building still expects her login. You took my place. That's what the monitor typed tonight, all by itself. The system logs said the activity came from my ID, my keyboard, while I was 20 feet away. I checked every rule, credentials, timestamp, session trail, all matched. The terminal I was staring at was idle, but the system thought I was sitting in Kendra's chair. Our office is a tomb after midnight. Just rows of cubicles and the humming of machines that don't care if you breathe. Still, I had to check the desk. It's the one by the copier, the spot nobody takes during the day. Her nameplate's gone, but the shadow of the letters still stains the metal. The monitor was awake, cursor blinking like a pulse. When I touched the mouse, the pointer moved before I did. I ran diagnostics. No remote sessions, no open chat, no macros. Then I saw it. The cursor trail drew 3 words onto a blank notepad. Log out for me. I whispered, terrified. Who are you? The cursor blinked twice, then erased the question. The sheet slid out across the room. System access report. User L.M. Kakeen, Terminal 14, 2:13 a.m. My name, my badge. That's her terminal. Every bulb in the room dimmed. A brownout sigh. In the reflection of the copier glass, I saw a figure sitting at Kendra's desk. Still, back straight, No face, just the outline of someone working. I turned. The chair was empty, but the monitor typed again, one letter at a time. Stay. The lights flickered back. My login session ended itself, and the time in the corner of the screen froze at 2:13 a.m. I told my IT the building glitched. They smiled, the way day shift people do when they think you're just tired. That night, I unplugged her monitor before I clocked in. Didn't matter. At 2:13, the light blinked on again. Unplugged, dead cable, still glowing. Not possible. The printer started before I could move. Paper spilled like a slow confession. Not text, coordinates. Latitude, longitude, and a timestamp. It pointed to the server basement. I whirred like ozone and cleaning fluid. Rows of humming racks blinking heartbeat lights. All green except one. Terminal 14 tagged decommissioned. The monitor booted on. A desktop wallpaper. Her cubicle photo. Same coffee mug, same stuffed bear. In the lower corner, user L.M. McKean, active. My name. Who's using me? I said. The speaker above the rack crackled. My voice delayed saying those same words. I backed up, hit the wall, palms slick. The terminal window opened by itself, displaying logs going back 6 months before my hire date. Every 2:13 a.m. entry read, user L.M. McKean assumed by fallback profile. Fallback. Then came the video file. Security footage from 2 weeks ago. The camera over Kendra's cubicle. Timestamp 2:13 a.m. It showed me standing there, head down, hands on her keyboard. No motion for 5 full minutes. But I was home that night, sleeping. I shut the monitor. It turned back on. Typed one line across the black screen. Thank you for your shift coverage. Next morning, HR emailed, we appreciate your extended hours. No. I whirred so. One scheduled me after midnight. I quit the following week. Still, at 2:13 a.m., my laptop light at home flashes once. Just once. Then dies. I haven't unplugged it yet. 2:13. I haven't unplugged it. 2. I'm writing this on my own machine, offline, or so I hope. Every night a pop-up appears, even with Wi-Fi off, reassigning user to fallback profile. When I click cancel, it reappears. Same time, same sound. A faint keyboard tap from a place I can't see. I didn't take your place. The cursor types, then why are you still here? And maybe she's right. Maybe I've been the one haunting her desk. When the screen dims each night, I see a reflection typing back. Not mine. Hers. And the timestamp never changes. 2:13 a.m. This doesn't end here. There's something else happening somewhere else. The radio crackled tonight. It shouldn't have. Station 6 has been dead since 1973. Collapsed roof, sealed tunnels, no power lines feeding in or out. Every dispatcher at Southside knows the rule. If 6 lights up, you kill the channel. except I didn't. I leaned closer to the mic, thumb on transmit. Control to maintenance. Confirm activity at 6. Static hissed like air escaping a lung. Then buried under it, a voice. My voice said, "Help me. I'm still down here." The hair on my arms lifted. I switched to the backup frequency. Same line, clear as glass. "Dispatch, this is 6. Please respond." "We don't call from stations. Dispatch is one way. The system doesn't let you." "Who is this?" I asked. The speaker clicked. My own name came back. Full, middle initial, exactly as listed on my ID tag. "This is Ryan P. Mallory. Copy." I don't talk to myself, but the voice had my accent, my breathing pattern, even the way I flatten my vowels when I'm tired. I pulled up the line map. 6's relay was grayed, offline, but the signal meter pulsed steady, heartbeat green. I tried logic first. Prank, crossfeed, archived recording. Then the voice on the radio coughed. Wet, present. "You left the lights on. I can see them from the tunnel." There are no lights in 6. No power for 50 years. I turned toward the security glass. Through it, the main platform monitors flickered, white noise static sliding into image. Camera view, tunnel 6B, facing the dead platform. The feed moved. Someone walked across the frame, flashlight swinging. It landed on the camera lens, then on the wall where the date stamp used to be. Etched in dust, "Help me." Below it, the numbers 2025. I shut down the feed. The image remained. Dispatch logs print automatically every 15 minutes. At 1:45 a.m., a new sheet rolled out. Incoming signal, channel 6. Source, local frequency. Voice authentication, max 100%. Mallory, Ryan P. I stared at the word match. That's a system-level check. Vocal, biometric, pattern. No human could spoof that. The line clicked again. "You left me down here." "Who?" I whispered. "Me." Every radio in the room, even the spare handhelds, woke at once, each one whispering different slices of my own sentences from earlier tonight, overlapped, out of order. "You left the lights on. Please respond. Who is this?" I pulled the master breaker. The lights in dispatch went dark. The radios didn't stop. They spoke in the dark like people practicing how to be me. By 2:10 a.m., the signal ended. Dead air. Silence thick as tunnel dust. I turned everything back on. Every monitor rebooted to the same message across its black screen. Station 6. Active. I'm not scheduled there. No one is. But the dispatch roster updated itself while I watched. Assignment: Mallory, RP. Platform 6 inspection, 02 Aleph to 6 Aleph. The timestamp read, tomorrow. Free. Rather. More. 7. I told myself I wasn't going. Then 2 a.m. came and I was already there. Maintenance key got me through the south gate, smelled like mildew and burnt wiring. No sound but my boots and the faint echo of dripping. The tunnel sloped down past Station 5, the last real stop. At the end, a chain-link gate wrapped in rusted padlocks. Beyond it, black air. And yet, a pulse of light bled through the cracks. I cut one lock, the chain fell. Station 6 wasn't empty. The tracks glowed faint blue, powered by a current that shouldn't exist. Graffiti climbed the walls, but every tag ended the same way. Still here. An abandoned maintenance cart sat tipped on its side. A handheld radio lay beside it, speaker cracked but blinking. I lifted it. "Dispatch, this is 6. Please respond." I almost dropped it. The unit serial number matched one missing from the control room, my own handheld. I crossed the platform. At the far wall, a door labeled Broadcast Room hung open. Inside, 2 desks, a broken intercom, and a tape recorder half buried under dust. Someone had carved into the desk wood, letters stacked on top of each other like tally marks. "I hear you." The tape clicked. My voice again, calm, steady, like a recording from a day shift. Maintenance log. Test signal received from dispatch, requesting verification, then silence, followed by a whisper that wasn't mine. "We verified you." A faint train horn moaned through the tunnel. No trains run this line. I looked back. The rails shimmered, metal sweating under blue current. From the dark, headlights swelled, too slow for any vehicle, too bright for any flashlight. The radio in my hand screamed feedback. The light passed through the gate like fog. There was no train, just the shape of one. A smear of light carving through air filled with the silhouettes of people sitting perfectly still. Every face turned toward me as it passed. In the glow, they were all men. They were all me. Then gone, the rails dark again. The radio spoke once more, faint and resigned. "You left me down here." And I finally realized what the system had meant by fallback profile. If a dispatcher dies during duty, the network copies their voice and routing pattern into backup, a ghost template, so the system can simulate normal operation. No one deletes those backups. They just forget them. Station 6 wasn't haunted by a spirit. It was haunted by a recording too loyal to stop working. I switched the handheld off and turned back toward the tunnel. But the darkness behind me exhaled a single, human breath, and my own voice said from inches away, "Don't leave me offline." I went back once more. Call it guilt, or protocol, or obsession. The network logs still showed me on shift every night at 2 a.m., even when I was home. Someone, something, was still signing in with my credentials. The relay room sits under the old administrative mezzanine, a hatch sealed with warning tape, half hidden behind a cabinet. When I pried it open, warm air breathed up, smelled like dust and copper. A spiral stair dropped into dark. I counted steps until the count looped itself. 41, 42, then back to 40. The walls were lined with old speaker wire, like veins. At the bottom, a console still hummed. Analog meters bounced to phantom noise. Labels read, "Station Feed 6, Voice SIM Archive, Loop Test." And there, sitting in the chair, was me, not moving. Head slumped forward, mic to lips, eyes half open. The same uniform I wore last week, my ID badge clipped to the chest. "Wake up," I whispered. The figure lifted its head, slow, joints creaking like stiff fabric. The eyes were hollow, not sockets, not glass. Tape reels, spinning faintly. The mouth opened with a dry click. "Control to maintenance. Confirm activity at 6. My first transmission. Looping forever." I backed away. The console behind him printed a log. "Profile update complete. Mallory, primary. Replaced by Mallory, archive." I slammed every breaker. The lights died, but his tape still spun, glowing faint red. Fallback online. That was the last thing I heard before the tunnel filled with that low, endless train hum again. The one that comes with no train, just pressure. It pushed me up the stairs like wind from below. When I surfaced in the dispatch room, every monitor showed my face staring into the camera, delayed half a second. Every voice channel lit green. The system reported all stations active, even 6. I heard that night, but each evening at 2 a.m. the handheld in my apartment buzzes once. No static, no words. Just the faint echo of a train that no longer exists. And if I listen long enough, under it, I can still hear myself whispering from below the city. Dispatch. This is 6. Please respond. This doesn't end here. There's something else happening somewhere else. The spotlight followed me after I cut the power. I threw the main on the dimmer rack. Everything on the board went dark. Faders to 0, master to blackout, breakers down. And yet the spot tracked me across the balcony rail like a patient eye, slow and polite, as if the theater itself were saying, No, we're still doing this. It moved with my breath. I'm a lighting tech. Was, for a weekend demolition contract at the Linden Orpheum, a 1920s Baroque palace that had been condemned more by indifference than cracks. My job? Inventory the fixtures, photograph the grid, kill the circuits for the wrecking team. No audience, no talent, no curtain call. Just ghosts, the foreman joked. If you see any, charge overtime. The foreman left at 6:12 p.m. By 7, I was alone in a building that knew how to hold a breath. You can hear theaters inhale when you walk in. The Linden did it twice. I set the ghost light at center stage, that single bare bulb on a pole theaters leave on so no one falls. I love that name. Ghost light. Tonight, the bulb burned the exact color of memory. From the booth, I powered up the console just long enough for photos. Old strand desk, slider caps like yellowed teeth. Patch readouts scrolled. Spot 1, box L. Spot 2, box R. Sky border, foots. 1,000 nicknames from 1,000 load-ins. Then I shut it all down. The spot kept moving. It came from up left, where the private boxes ring the proscenium like gilded bird cages. No lamp noise, no arc crackle. Just a cool white circle that knew how to find me. I walked the balcony, hands out, half laughing at myself. Clever. I'm not superstitious. I speak power fluently. Circuits, loads, patches. That's where hauntings end. So I cut the breakers at the stage right panel, then the service disconnect in the alley. The whole grid fell into house black. The spot brightened. It widened to exactly the diameter I remember from tech rehearsal cues. My chest tightened. The circle skipped ahead of me and stopped on the stage door as if inviting me down. The lobby clock read 8:03. The box office glass still had fingerprints, loops of grease from winter hands. Under the marquee, a curled poster. One night only. Alex Lyon, final performance. Year, 2011. 12 years late. The spot read smelled like rosin and damp wood. Someone had set 3 chairs in the wings, facing the empty house like they expected the director to pick a fight with them. A cue light on the wall, Those little red devils used to signal actors glowed. Power was cut. It glowed anyway, an ember that refused to finish dying. "Hello?" I said. My voice landed in the house and came back with applause's shape without the sound. That's the curse of empty theaters. They return the form of a feeling, even when they can't return the feeling. I crossed to the fly rail. Lines were tied off with sailor's knots, labels flaking. Main rag, grand teaser, cyclorama. One sandbag hung lower than it should, as if something had been lifted and not returned. The curtain rippled, a tiny shiver, though there was no draft. The spot slid to center. I followed because that's what you do when a stage asks. The ghost light burned a little brighter, as if pleased, as if seen. In the stillness, a whisper threaded down from the catwalks. Not a voice, more like a line check. Check, check. House to black. Go. Who's on comms? I asked out of habit. No headset on me, no board op in the booth. Yet in my left ear, the faintest talkback hiss. And under it, my own rhythm of breathing mirrored. I put one foot into the circle of light. Every gold leaf, every moth's wing, every speck of dust suspended in that beam. My whole world became diameter and edge. The stage under my shoe felt warm. That's when I saw the spiked tape. Bright fluoro crosses marking positions long after the show. Someone had laid fresh ones. The adhesive was new. A stage manager had prepped the space tonight. But for who? The house doors at the back of the orchestra creaked as if a late audience tried to slip in quietly. No one there. Just that shaped absence again. Rows of red seats leaning forward slightly as if the whole room were curious. On the music stand in the pit, I found a program. Alex Lyon, Farewell Tour. Inside, tucked between glossy pages, a paper cue sheet. Q1, house to 30%. Q2, bandstand practical, blue. Q3, spot op, stay with him, underlined twice. At the bottom, penciled in smaller letters, if he doesn't show, run archive. Archive. I set the program down. It opened itself to a page with my name in the sponsor list. I never sponsored a thing here. Below it, a note in pencil, fragile. We saved you a seat. The intercom in the wings popped low. Places. Something breathed in the catwalk above me. The heavy, slow breath of a lamp house waking. But there were no lamps to wake. Run your show, I said to the dark. You don't need me. The spot disagreed. It tightened on my chest like a hand, a polite grip a child might use to pull you to the dance floor. It warmed my shirt through. The only thing scarier than a haunted theater is a hungry one. They're built to contain attention. When they can't, they start manufacturing it. I picked up the ghost light and rolled it 2 feet off my mark. The spot stuttered, corrected, slid to me again. A dog heel. My hands shook. Okay. The house went truly quiet. The kind of quiet that makes the smallest sound a line. The cue light blinked once, then held steady red. I heard the director's voice in that twice-removed way that all directors live. From the walls, from the notes you can't forget, from the ghosts of rehearsal. "We can't close until we finish." "I'm not Alex," I said. The curtain sighed. Somewhere high, something locked off a line. On the apron, a tape recorder sat where a front fill should be. No dust on its wheels. A card taped to it read, "One night only." I pressed play. The theater inhaled. In man, I didn't see some of the recorder. Warm, worn, confident. "Good evening, Lyndon." Not mine. Alex Lyon. The kind of voice that's smoked behind posters and cried in dressing rooms. The ghost light dimmed itself to a candle safety glow. The spot found my sternum again and held like a promise. On the cue sheet, a note I'd missed. "If performer fails to appear, archive follows blocking track. Spot, treat operator as stand-in." You're kidding. The tape unfurled applause that wasn't there. Then Alex. "One more story." The laugh line that should follow fell into the pit like a coin into a dark fountain. I checked the booth. Dead. Board lifeless, monitors gray. But the audience mic channel peaked to a laugh shape anyway. The room was drawing responses. The comms in my ear found a low-level loop. "Q15, stand by. Stand by, follow spot. Spot on, stand in." The arch above the proscenium flickered with a soft projection. Alex's silhouette, years younger, reaching for the mic. The spot widened as if to catch him, then tightened on me instead. The room expected a body. It would use mine. "House to 30, said the whisper in the walls. The gilded teardrops of the chandeliers dimmed without power, the chandelier chains sighing as if lighter. The stage felt like a boat easing from dock. I walked to spike mark 1 because I couldn't bear the way the circle tugged my chest. The tape clicked into a song intro. Just room tone and the low hiss of magnetic time. Alex spoke. "When I was young, I practiced in here after hours. I learned the timing of dust and the patience of velvet." The house leaned. A line in pencil at the bottom of the cue sheet. "Don't look up during archive." I looked up. Between the catwalk rails, something stood at grid center. Tall, thin, not a person precisely. More like the shape of lighting truss learned to stand. It held a lamp house where a head might be, and the lamp house watched. The tape coughed, the wheels stuttered. "Take it from the bridge," said a far-off operator I couldn't see. I hadn't pressed anything. The curtain lifted 2 inches and resettled, as if checking the air gap. The cue light went from red to green. Go. I heard footsteps behind the grand drape, measured, stage-savvy, precise. Blocking in muscle memory. "Alex," I whispered. The footsteps stopped. The shadow at grid center turned its lamp house a fraction. I stepped off my mark. The spot allowed it and shadowed me, generous. At the piano, a thin line of dust had been parted by keys pressed that morning or 10 years ago. One key depressed itself. Single piano note. Honest. Wooden. Then another. An interval nearly right, as if fingers forgotten how to be fingers. The tape drowned under its own hiss. I stopped it. Silence. The theater held. From the house, a voice. Mine, not mine. "Don't cut." I pressed play again with hands that didn't feel like mine. The program on the pit stand turned a page on its own. The ink had bled where tears sat once. Under the set list, a scrawl. Final performance. Audience of 1. I reached into the wing for a headset. Dead. Still, the calm whispered in my left ear with a latency I could measure in breath. Stand by blackout beneath the ovation. If no ovation, run it anyway. He needs the noise. He's gone, I said. Let him stop. We can't, the walls breathed. The spot lifted off my chest, widened and floated to downstage center, a generous circle for the absent man. A second spot lit the empty balcony chair where a critic once sat. A third spot opened in the aisle for a latecomer that never apologizes. I walked to the proscenium edge and stared into the house. Those red seats leaned again, forward, forward. The way people lean when the story stops breathing and they want to push it along. Okay, I said to the cue sheet. The ghost light, the lamp with a head. Run your archive. I lowered myself to the piano bench like a man being fitted to a suit. A draft unrolled from the stage door. I said with it came smell. Hairspray from a decade ago. Stale gin. Old roses. Places. The tape exhaled a crowd swell that reached its hands to my stomach and lifted. My face snapped upward without me, the telestined gesture of a performer who has been here too many times to pretend he's surprised by love. There was no one, but the noise had the right shape. The curtain belly laughed once, then stilled. Blackout beneath the ovation, whispered the wall. Every practical dimmed. The ghost light remained, a small survivor in a war of circuits. When house came back to 30, the spot had moved again, to me. It made a new circle on my chest like a hand over a heart. Alex Lyon, I asked the room. What do you want? The piano lid shifted a hair's width. The shadow at the grid tipped its lamphouse like a nod. An old marquee relay clacked alive out front. In the lobby, I heard the sign wick, bulbs telling the dark to name tonight. The wind carried it back through the crushed velvet. One night only. Bike Grove. I turned the tape recorder off again. Nothing moved. Then the intercom, crisp for the first time, said in a voice that had borrowed mine, 5 minutes to places. And the spot widened to swallow me whole. I turned the tape recorder off again. 5 minutes to places is a prayer. You count them wrong on purpose so the show can sneak up and dare you. I walked the vom to the house, fingers sliding each seat back like rosary beads. At row G, seat 7, the cushion had a divot older than me. A program lay open. Alex Lyon. Thank you, Lyndon. Someone had underlined, thank you, until the paper thinned. House doors, the wall breathed. They closed on their own. The room tightened. On stage, the ghost light went out. I climbed to the booth to kill whatever fantasy of circuitry remained. The console was a cadaver. Still, the monitors glowed with nothing. And in the glass, I moved ahead of myself by half a second. Reflections should not lead. I did not follow. In the corner, a binder waited. Show reports 2011. The last one in a tidy hand. Final performance completed. Audience of 1. Notes. House wouldn't let us strike the set. Under it, a sticky note. Please give him his bow. The comm snapped. Stand by bows. Spot OP. Stay with him. The voice wasn't a voice anymore. It was architecture remembering. I ran back to the deck. The show returned to downstage and held as if guarding a person. I stood just outside it and broke the rule. I addressed the room. You don't need a body to stop. You can end without applause. The grand drape lifted 3 inches and fell. Defiance, then grief. Overhead, the lamp-headed shadow at the grid leaned closer, casting a narrow bar like a blade. The tape clicked on by itself, not for the show, for the part after. The walkout music that covers a heart breaking on a stage you aren't allowed to keep. A small brass band shuffled through a tune, out of tune. It made my eyes hot. I stepped into the spot. It shrunk to my sternum like an embrace. The floor under my feet felt like the spine of the building. A whisper of rosin climbed my nose like a rehearsal memory I never had. "Let me give it to you then," I said to the boards. "Let me close." The house breathed. I lifted my right hand the way seasoned performers do when they own the silence. From the wings, a cue light blinked green. On the apron, a stream of dust lifted and fell like confetti reconsidering. "Blackout beneath the ovation," the wall repeated. "Not tonight," I said. I put my boot against the ghost-like base and dragged it back to center, then thumbed the click wheel with my left hand. It lit, gentle, defiant, a small sun. The spot yielded half its field, sharing. In that cooperation, I heard the theater change its heart. The lamp-headed shadow straightened, and for the first time its light turned away from me. Across the house, the chandeliers warmed by one step, like day imagined. "Curtain," the wall begged. I didn't move. Then the sound I'd expected and dreaded since I read the sticky note arrived. Not applause. Practice. The room manufactured the shape of it, air moving against itself, seat fabric flexing, the soft storm of hands that weren't there. Cloth and air only. I bowed, just once, for the room, for the labor. The ovation swelled to where blackout should cut. I left it on. We rode it together until the bow wasn't a bow anymore, just a person standing and breathing with a building. The ghost light flickered. A bulb isn't meant to do that on clean power. I forgave it. In the wings, a single rose dried to shadow fell from where no flyman stands. When the sound fell to tired rain, I spoke into the dregs. "Lyndon, thank you. You can close." The cue light went to red and stayed. The grand drape settled like a sigh. The spot eased off my sternum and climbed the arch, searching for somewhere sunny to die. In the alley, I threw the service disconnect again. The marquee did not argue. It went out like a good patient. Inside, through the crack of the stage door, I watched the ghost light hold. Everything else, drape, pit, chandeliers, finally stayed still. I left my wrench on the rail, the tech's equivalent of flowers. On the way out, the lobby clock had chosen a time, 11:11. I refused to make a wish. At home, I put the program on my table and turned it face down. At 11:11, my living room lamp dimmed once. Not a flicker, a bow. I nodded back. When I lay down, the dark wasn't empty. It was housed to black. Different. I could feel the architecture of it. At the edge of sleep, the phone vibrated with no caller ID. I lifted it to my ear and heard a room breathe, a velvet hush, a curtain trying not to move. And then my own voice from somewhere brighter than power lines. "Places." I said it back. "Places." The line clicked like a cue light going green. The call did not end. It faded to nothing the way good shows do, by teaching you how to hold silence without fear. And also from the time,